Shout out to the YouTube and Spotify audience. Hi. Today I wanted to build on what we talked about last week as far as being present with other people, but I wanted to talk about what it looks like to be present with yourself as well. I think that is really important. I remember there's been so many times, for me at least, where I will look back to a different time and look upon it so fondly and wish that I was back in that time. And then I fast forward and I'm looking back at the time when I was looking back at the other time, and I'm remembering that fondly rather than recognizing the moment that I'm in. And I think it's really easy to dismiss the moment that we're in because it's the moment that we're in, but stopping to smell the roses is really helpful in feeling like you're actually living rather than just punching in a clock, so to speak, in life. I don't think that there's anything wrong with looking back and having great memories, but realize that now is what we have say in more than anything. We have so much say in now, whereas the past is something that we can't change or modify. We can just look back on and learn from or enjoy. So what does it look like to be present with yourself? I think it's the same principles as with friends. Sometimes just putting your mind on do not disturb mode is really helpful. Sitting and allowing yourself just to breathe and to feel what's going on. Asking yourself good questions. Asking yourself, how am I feeling right now? What do I feel like is going well? What do I feel like is not going as well as I would like it to be? What are steps that I can take to change whatever it is that I feel I want to change? Because you're authoring your story right now. I want to encourage you, it may not feel this way, but the best is yet to come. I really do believe that for all of us. We haven't peaked by any means. You haven't peaked by any means. Your best is still being authored, and you're the one with the pen in your hand. What does it look like to seize now? Maybe in the past, there's been moments where you wish you would have seized them and you didn't. Okay, how do I rectify that? How do I be present now? And I think spending time with yourself and valuing that time with yourself is good. It's so easy, and this is what I've done, to just, okay, well, I don't really have anything to do, so I'm just gonna watch something on TV until I have to go to bed so that I can just go to work and then get home and then watch TV just to go to bed, just to go to work. And it becomes this point of being on autopilot instead of recognizing every day brings new opportunities. Every day brings new experiences. Yeah, we might be doing the same things that we were doing yesterday in the job that we're in or whatever it is that we're in. But what is new about today? Am I just going to take having another day of existing for granted? Or am I going to look for what's new and what's going on and be present and recognize the memories that I'm creating? A really good question that I was asked by a good friend of mine, Mr. Isaac, was, how many times in your life have you felt like you recognized that you were in a core memory? I didn't really feel like I had a good answer to that. And I think what that indicated to me was that I wasn't being present often. There was maybe one or two times that I could think of, but beyond that, I couldn't think of any other times when in the moment I was like, this is such a great time and I'm just soaking in the moment. Moments are fleeting, moments are constantly happening, memories are constantly being created, but sometimes it's important just to slow down in the busyness of our life and our schedule and our responsibilities and soak in a moment. If you like looking at the sunset or the ocean, linger. We're so quick to move on to the next thing because we're all guilty of it, but we're on social media and boom, next. But what would it look like if we just paused and just enjoyed a sunset, enjoyed the ocean, enjoyed the things that we enjoy just a moment longer? If we just sat in silence with ourselves, no thoughts running through our mind, just a moment longer. I think being present is a hard discipline to create, especially when it comes to just being present with ourselves. It's easier to be present in relationships and with people than it is to be present with ourselves. Because like I said in the last video, there's a lot of familiarity in relationship, and that's what can deter us from being present. There's so much more familiarity between me and myself than anybody else, because I wake up, I see the same face every day. And I think coming to this place where when we look in the mirror, we recognize that we have value and we need to pour out love to ourselves and be present is huge. I think that that's going to bring us to more of a fullness of living, being present with ourselves. What is it that you've always wanted to do but made excuses to not do it? Do that. We have responsibilities, we have things that we need to do, but we would be lying to ourselves if we said that there is absolutely no time to do the things that we enjoy and to be fully present in that moment. The laundry's going to be there tomorrow. Whatever responsibility we can concoct in our mind is going to be there tomorrow. If it's not something that has to be done immediately and in the moment, why don't we just pause, set that aside for tomorrow, and do what we want to do? Taking care of yourself is what it looks like to be present with yourself. I don't think that taking care of yourself and self-care looks like feeding yourself, taking a shower, these different things. Those are things that you need to do to survive. When was the last time you did something beyond the basic human function of survival for yourself? For me, I like gifts. Gifts is my love language. I love to give gifts. I love to receive gifts. So when I feel like I want to just show myself love, and it's hard for me, I will say that, I'll buy myself some new clothes or something. It sounds like a simple thing or materialistic thing, but to me, that's the way that I receive love to myself. Or I'll take myself on a trip. I love going on trips by myself. I will save money. I will prioritize myself and be like, okay, I'm going to go to this state around this time. I'm going to buy the plane tickets. I'm going to go. And it's always a good time. And I feel like I have such a really cool moment of connection with myself every time that I take a trip or I take the time. Rather than just sitting and watching YouTube all day, which is sometimes what I will do, going outside and taking a walk and just being with myself. I think that that's what it looks like to be present. It's so easy to be caught up in everything that's going on around. You got to work tomorrow, so you got to go to bed at a certain time, but you also got to eat. Oh my gosh, this person's texting me. Oh my goodness, I need to make this video by this time. It's so easy to fall into the trap of being on autopilot and just doing things to do things, but we are human beings, not human doings. So being and being present with ourselves is so important. This is my understanding of what it looks like to be present. Your understanding and the way that you conduct yourself in being present with yourself could look completely different. But I think that it is a worthy question to ask. What does it look like to be present with myself? How am I not being present with myself? And what can I do to grow in this area of being present with myself? When people ask me, what do I like to do? There were so many times when I didn't have an answer because I wasn't doing anything for myself. So I'd be like, oh, I like collecting records and thrifting and going to coffee shops. Yeah, so does everyone, But when do I feel the most alive? I feel the most alive when I'm painting on a canvas because I can't paint. I am not a good artist when it comes to painting. I will be 100% real. But that's when I have fun, because I'm not creating just to put something out. I'm just creating for myself. And I think that that's what it looks like to be present with myself sometimes. When was the last time that you just did something for yourself that you weren't looking for someone else to approve of, or you weren't looking at it as a piece of content to put out, or whatever it may be? I think that finding the things that you love and that you enjoy and leaning into those things and making time for those things is so vital to being present with yourself and loving yourself well. I did not realize how much I would enjoy having fish until me and Jonas had fish. I think about the fish all the time. I have love for these fish. It's really weird. They probably don't even know I exist. They just see an opening and food dropping in. But I found that this is kind of a little hobby of mine. So I've been enjoying researching more about how to take care of the fish, how to make a cooler environment for them, different things like that. And it's fun. And I'm just doing it for me. And it's beneficial because I'm being present with myself, and I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm gaining things. And it's weird how taking care of fish can teach you life lessons, you know? It's really weird how a lot of the things that we can see as mundane, if we would just be present in those moments, that there's so much to learn and to gain from those things. I'm not saying don't watch TV, don't play video games, don't do whatever it is that you're doing. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're using those things as an excuse to not spend time with yourself and to be present with yourself, then it can become unhealthy. And it has been that way for so long with me. I've got all these problems in the world and I don't want to even face them or think about them, so I'm going to play Madden for 12 hours. Those problems are only getting bigger in my mind because I'm not addressing them. I'm not being present in that situation. And that's all I'm trying to communicate. I'm not saying TV bad, social media bad. I think those things are great. I enjoy them so much. I am on YouTube more than probably anyone. That's probably not true. But I am chronically online when it comes to YouTube and social media, believe it or not. But am I using that as an excuse to not be with myself? Yes, was the answer for a while. And so I had to change that. It's just so easy to get into that routine. Not being. When was the last time that you took yourself out to eat and you got the best thing on the menu, not the bottom tier cheapest thing? For me, this is what I had to do. I was buying shampoo. And this is just, peel behind the curtain. I want to be open and honest, and it's really silly. But this was where I was at. I wasn't loving myself well. I would go buy shampoo, and I would buy the cheapest shampoo, dry my hair out, and then I had dandruff, and it was this disgusting thing, and then I was embarrassed. I'm always wearing hats, yada, yada, yada. I had to come to the place of loving myself enough to spend a little bit extra money on the correct shampoo for my hair. How many of us have something where we're giving ourselves the least, when if we just put in a little bit more, it would be so much more beneficial to us? I think it's important to not just live on survival mode and just try to get by, because A, that's an exhausting way to live. And B, you are worth so much more than just survival. What does it look like for you to thrive as a person? When do you feel the most alive as a person? When you're with yourself and when you're hanging out with other people, for me, it's creating. For you, it may be something different. When do you feel the most alive? How can you lean into that more? How can you enhance that experience? Have you ever just gone home, you lay down and you're like, today was a really good day? Now, something I'm challenging myself to do now is when I do have that thought of today was a really good day, I ask, what made today a really good day? What can I bring from today into tomorrow? How can I build on this? Not every day is going to be a good day. Life is life. And life can be brutal sometimes. And we don't have control over life and what it throws at us. But what we do have control over is our response and the way that we approach things. I don't want to communicate this toxic positivity because not everything is sunshine and roses all the time, and not everything can be flipped to where there's just nothing wrong any of the time. That's just not real. And I feel like when people are coming from a place of toxic positivity and talking to me, I'm just like, dude, you feel so out of touch. I think that there's a thin line, but if you can find the line between toxic positivity, we don't want, and actual optimism, I think that is a good place to be in. Okay, cool. Things are not great right now, but I can't believe that things are going to always be this way. What can I do to better the situation that I'm in? How can I communicate the situation that I'm in? That, hey, things aren't great. And that's okay. But things aren't great. I'm not trying to flip it and make it to where things are great, because they're not. But I know that things are going to get better. And I have tools and people around me to help me get through this hard time. I just wish, and what I want to do myself is just to be transparent, honest, and vulnerable. If I'm not having a good day, I'm not having a good day. And it's okay. But it doesn't mean that it has to snowball into tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. I have to wake up with this thought that today is a new day. Today is not going to be like yesterday. And if today ends up being like yesterday, I'm going to believe that tomorrow's going to be better. The best days are still ahead of me. I haven't peaked by any means. If I've peaked at 27, oh my gosh, what is there to look forward to in life? And a lot of us, we're in our 20s and we think that we've peaked. A lot of us think we peaked in high school or college. You haven't peaked. That was a high, but more highs are coming. Maybe it's been low for a long time. I spent the greater part of 10 years feeling depressed and just being in a low all the time and having all these negative thought patterns and just having this crippling depression where I wouldn't even want to get out of bed. But it was until I began to bring attention to it, and it was until I began to be present with what was going on and what was happening inside me, that was when I started to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think that there's still times when waves will come, because for those of us who have dealt with depression, at least in my experience, I assume in other people's experience from research, that it's just that there's this wave, you know it's coming, and you're like, there's nothing I can do about it. And it was until I recognized my autonomy in the situation. I want to speak to this, but I don't want to diminish anybody else's experience, and I don't want to give a formula that's going to fix it all, a Band-Aid that's going to fix everything for anybody. This is just what had worked for me. I knew what I needed to do to get out of that place of depression or to take steps towards that. And I knew better, but I lacked the motivation of doing it, and I allowed my feelings to control me. Once I made the decision to take back control of my feelings and push past the feeling of not wanting to do anything, not wanting to get out of bed, not wanting to talk to anybody about what was going on, and not wanting to feel so alone all the time. Once I pushed past that, I was able to start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I was able to finally feel like I had a say in my life. And it was hard, and there were setbacks, and there were moments when I didn't feel like it was ever going to end. But as I began to bring people in and let them see me and be honest and be real, that's what really pulled me through. I think that when it comes to that specific topic of depression, we can only get ourselves so far, but we need help. And I wasn't in a position to be able to afford therapy. And the people that I initially had trusted and reached out to and told how I was feeling just told me to read the Bible and didn't offer me any kind of resources or solutions. It's important to not take those things personal. Some people just don't get it. But I had to love myself enough to find the people that get it. Find the people that are going to point me in the right direction and give me access to the resources that I needed, because I felt like I was fighting for my life. But I wasn't fighting for so long, because I thought that maybe one day I'd wake up and everything would be fine. I wasn't being present with myself. I was just allowing this thing to take over every aspect of my life. And it ruined relationships for me. It ruined opportunities for me. And I just kept putting it on the back burner. And I feel like had I been more present in those moments when I was feeling that way, or reached out to somebody who I trust, who understands where I'm coming from, perhaps it would have been a shorter road. I honestly don't regret that time. I did the best with what I understood at that point. Would I approach it differently now? Probably, because I'm older and I'm wiser. But in that time, when you're 12 years old and you have something that you don't understand going on, I think that I did the best with what I had, And I think that it's important to not punish ourselves for the way that we walked through a previous process. With all these things being said, I think it's really important to not be passive in our relationship with ourselves, and to be present in our relationship with ourselves, because realistically, whatever it is that we're going through, we are going to have to be the catalyst to get ourselves out of that place. And then other people will come with a helping hand. People who understand, people who love us are going to come with a helping hand and pull us forward when we're unable to do so. But we need to come to that place of making the decision to push back against feelings and see what's true. I was not born to be depressed. I was born to live a life full of joy. You were not born to live a life with you fill in the blank. You're born to live a life of fullness. And that's really what being present means to me. Addressing what's going on and not being passive and pushing myself towards who I want to be, even if that's not how I feel in that moment. So I really do want to encourage you, if you're going through some heavy stuff, find the strength, if possible, to just push yourself a little bit and get people involved who love you and understand you. I think that therapy is so good. It is such a helpful tool, and I would encourage you to pursue that if it's a possibility. Have some outside perspective come in and help point out things to you, because I think that sometimes we have blind sides. I know I do. That's why I have people around me to tell me these things, to tell me what I'm missing, because there is so much familiarity here with me. But yes, ask yourself good questions. Am I being present with myself? Am I putting myself on the back burner? How can I grow in this area of being present with myself and make myself a priority to me? I just want to encourage you to ponder on that this week. You won't regret it. You might find out things that you don't enjoy, you don't like, but I think that's good. Whenever I ask myself questions and I'm like, ooh, I don't like that response, I'm no longer in this place of, oh my gosh, you're such a bad person for feeling this way. It's like, okay, I feel this way. Now that I have come to acknowledging that I feel this way, I can actually take steps towards changing the way that I'm feeling. So that's all. Again, I really want to be delicate with this topic, because everyone's experience is different and there's so much to it. But just wanted to dip my toes a little bit into my story. And in future videos, we'll probably go a little bit deeper with that. But I think that I by no means want to communicate that there's just this ease and it's just a one-step process or anything like that. When it comes to depression, there's so much to it, and it can be crippling. And I understand, I do. So I just wanted to communicate a bit of my experience in that, to hopefully bring a little bit of hope and add some tools to your tool belt if you're going through something similar. So if you did make it to the end of the video, I want to thank you, genuinely. Thank you so much for watching. It means a lot to me. And I am also told to tell you to like and subscribe. So you should probably do that. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. How are you being present with yourself? What has worked for you? What has not worked for you? Let me know. And until next time,